Finally, it's worked. Do you know, I've had the worst time setting this up this morning. It just was not going to work, and I still don't know how I've actually got this to come on. You know, when I first started doing this, like a month or so ago, it just seemed to work, and now I think I got a little bit clever and tried to do something, and now it's not working very well at all. Anyway, we shall try and fix it later on, because I have been sat here for over an hour trying to go live this morning. So brilliant start to a Monday morning here. If you are new to the channel, hello, please do subscribe, and you can ask live questions every morning of the tarot should you wish. There's a card that's popped out already. We'll put that to the side. I love it when we get a jumper. Welcome to the channel to everybody else. If you're watching and you're not subscribed and you'd like to ask some questions live, then please subscribe to the channel, because it really helps me out, and then you can enter any questions that you've got into the live chat and I will get to them at the end of the daily reading. So what we do for the daily reading is, if you choose a number between 1 and 12, and then I'll lay down the cards, read out the interpretations in a random order. If you don't want to stick around and watch the whole video, once I upload this, assuming that it goes right, and I can't promise that, as we've had so many problems this morning with it. But what I'll do afterwards is I'll put timestamps onto the video, the recorded video. So if you choose, for example, card 3, you don't need to watch the whole video. You can just skip along the timestamps and find card 3, or you can click directly on the link in the description. That being said, let us start the daily reading. So if you could focus on, if you've got a particular issue in mind, or if you just want a generalized view of the day ahead, then just focus on that while I shuffle and choose a number between 1 and 12. If you're not watching this live and you've come to it on a different day, don't worry about it, because if you've been guided to this video, then take the message anyway, because Spirit works in mysterious ways. Okay, right, let's get on with this. Enough of me gibbering on. Just laying out the cards here. The jumper that we had coming out there was just can't count and speak at the same time, was the World reversed. So we're going to start with this card, and the World's about completion, but when it's reversed, it's talking about say the failure to complete a cycle. So it feels like today we could all be feeling like something should have finalized, something should have come to completion. It's a stage of life where you feel that there should be a moving on from something, but for some reason or other, that's actually sort of failed to materialize. So there's that general stuck feeling, and this is more of a collective card. So it feels like things are stalling, and that sort of energy will be apparent today. It's like one of those days where you just can't get something finished. It's supposed to be there, it's almost there, but there's like a stumbling block at the last hurdle. Right, so straight into the readings, cards 1 to 12. Number 12 today is the 4 of Swords reversed. So the 4 of Swords reversed is a card that talks about it's slowing down, it's resting. Now, when this is reversed, this is telling you that now is the time to come out of hibernation, and it's time to kickstart your energy systems and to really sort of take the bull by the horns, number 12, because there's something that's going to demand a lot of your energy, or a lot of your mental power, or perhaps a lot of physical stamina to complete. So it's time that you sort of chucked the duvet off and dived into life this morning, because it's a kick up the ass card. It's like, you know, you've got to get on with this. You've got to like find the strength, pull yourself around and tackle this head on. And actually it's a positive card. So it's not sort of talking about, oh my goodness, you're going to need so much strength to deal with this. It's like you will achieve what you want to achieve, as long as you pull yourself out of the period of contemplation or procrastination that you've been sort of under the spell of. So it's been very easy to sit back and not do this. It's been very easy to rest on your laurels and to stand back from a situation. But today's the day when you're gonna be in a good position to really push forward with this and get on with it. So that's a grand card for you to start with, number 12. Number 1. Number one, you've got the moon reversed. Now, the moon is very much a card of self-deception, and it can also be a card which indicates deceit around you. Now, with this being reversed, it's like the moon is showing its other face. So if somebody's being two-faced around you, or if there is deceit around you, and this is very much a card of that, today will be a day when that sort of energy is revealed. So it's like the clouds clear and the moon is seen through them because it's reversed. So it's like you'll get that moment of clarity when you'll realize that somebody is perhaps hasn't been truthful, or perhaps you just catch a glimpse of, you know, that behind the mask moment where you sort of see somebody for who they truly are. So watch out for that moment today if you chose number one card, and just be a little bit wary about anything that could be a little bit dishonest around you today. The other question, of course, is, are you deceiving yourself about something? So spend some time in self-reflection and just make sure that that's not something that's going to trip you up. Okay, number two, you have the Emperor. So the Emperor is a wonderful card to have. It's a card of massive energy. It's really strange. You know, last Monday I remember doing these cards, and there was a real feeling of dampened energy. And this morning already there's you know, the Four of Swords reversed and the Emperor here. It's a really opposite thing. So it's like there's a lot more energy to be shared out between us all for this on this day for some reason, because the Emperor is like the master of the major arcana. So he's like, he controls the other decks of the cards, so he can control the emotions, the intellect, the energy. So this is you today, number two. It means that you have got a lot of resources at your fingertips. So there's a lot of things that you can do, and you're in one of those mercurial mindsets where, you know, you're sort of thinking like this, you're cooking on gas, you've got many plates spinning, things are coming to fruition, things are working out for you. People that you deal with seem to be amicable, seem to accept your point of view, and can be swayed by your persuasion. So you're in a position of power today, number two. So it's a good day that if you've got something to tackle which takes a bit of diplomacy, or if you're going to need to influence somebody or influence an outcome, or if you've got to do something where you're not quite sure what the outcome was going to be and you've been putting it off, today's the day to go for it. So that's a great card to have. Let me know if that resonates with you, because I'd love to hear about that. Number three, another great card, number three. You have the Sun. The Sun is one of the most positive cards in the tarot deck. It is a card which means that whatever you're tackling today, you'll be doing it under the glow of a positive sun of success, shall we say. Glow, the light shining down on you and almost like blessing every move that you take. You know that the Midas touch, doesn't it? It's where everything that you do is going to work out well today. Also, this can be a card that can be interpreted quite literally. So if you've been if you're thinking about travel or something like that, then it could be a day where that comes to fruition, because it's travel, it's exotic places, place in the sun. It's also about a sense of adventure. So if you're planning on doing something, or if you're just feeling that, you know, maybe you would benefit from stepping out of your comfort zone for a while, then like the little guy on the illustration here who's riding his horse naked across into the sunset, then it's like, make that move, do that thing, be that childlike spirit, and ride your horse naked into the sun. Why not? But it's one of those cards that pushes you forward and tells you to experience the happy and sunny days of life. So let me know if that resonates with you today. Beautiful card. I would be pleased to have chosen that one for sure. Number 11, you've got the Five of Cups reversed. The Five of Cups is about loss and despair, material loss, even emotional loss as well. When it's reversed, it means that that time has come to an end. So it's an interesting card design, because you've got this figure who's knocked over his cups. There's two still left open and upright, sorry, not open. And in the background there's a lovely house and there's a bridge there, and when it's in its actual upright position. It's talking about that loss and talking about how there were things left which were not lost, but you've ignored them and sort of walked on going, oh, woe is me, sort of thing. When it's upside down, it does mean that that loss is coming to an end. But also, I'm drawing your attention to the fact that there's that house in the background and the bridge. It's talking about, when you cross from one side of a piece of land across flowing water, which cleanses the energy, to the other side, then you're entering into, excuse me, a new energetic phase. So, gosh, I have got a frog in my throat this morning. You would think I was shouting for the football all night. So it's like you're crossing a bridge to a new energetic location in life. It's a real new start for you, and there are things that you might have left behind, but it's one of those times where you've got to consider those things as things that needed to be shed, so they weren't doing your higher self any favors, in other words. So it's time for you to focus on the things that you've taken with you to cross that bridge. And what's symbolized by that big lovely house in the background of this card is that you're crossing to a better place, and that is a place of more domestic and emotional security. So you're going to feel better. So whatever it is that you have to leave behind, number 11, then it's good riddance to bad rubbish at this point. And I know that sounds a bit harsh, and it probably wasn't the right words to choose, but it's just like what you're leaving behind was meant to be left behind. So just close the door and leave it like that. Cross the bridge, new place, new house, new part of your life. Let me know if that resonates with you. Remember, if you subscribe to the channel, then I'm more than happy to answer any questions live in the chat, or you can ask for a 3-card reading. And if I've got time at the end, I'll get to that too. Number 10. Number 10, that's another interesting card, especially as it's come out next to number 11, which was the 5 of Cups, which is moving away from something, because number 10, this is the 6 of Swords, and it's also about moving away from something. With it being swords, it's usually about conflict type of things. So this is talking about the end of a period of animosity between you and somebody else, or the end of an argument, the end of a dispute, the putting right of what went wrong. And if you see on the design, trying not to get it into the light too much here, which isn't easy. So this guy is he's being rowed across the water to a new land. So again, you're moving to a different energetic influence. You're moving on to different things. This can also be a card that can be interpreted literally, because it can mean travel overseas. So it can mean actually making that journey over water. So if you're waiting to hear news about travel, your own or a loved one, somebody close to you, then today could be the day when you hear that. But if travel is not on your metaphorical cards, then this will be a card that indicates you metaphorically moving away from that period of conflict, or a period of life where you felt constrained, restrained by your own prison of your own ideas, that sort of thing. It's whatever you've placed on yourself, you can break through that today as well. So really, it's a card about movement. It's moving away from whatever has made you uncomfortable, whatever conflict that has caused you distress or has played on your mind. You can push through it, plain sailing, off to new lands today. Brilliant card again. Number 9. Number 9, another great one. The Tower. The Tower is an interesting card in the tarot, because some people find it quite a scary one. But it's one of those things that, that the tarot is only as scary as you make it. And it can mean a real shocker in life. But who sails through life without these events? And if we didn't have darker times and challenges, then we wouldn't appreciate it when life is really, really good and everything's happening perfectly. Now, the good thing about the Tower reversed is that it generally means that whatever disaster you were hurtling towards, whichever tower you're going to fall right off the top of, you've actually managed to turn that situation around, or something's happened in your circle of influence, something's happened around you that's averted that disaster. So it's like you've managed to bypass whatever negative effect is coming. However, the card still has something to teach you. It's really drawing your attention to something that you let sort of get a little bit out of control. So what was it that you allowed to get to a point where it could have brought you tumbling down? All right. So it's a lesson to be learned about looking at that event or looking at that situation and making a conscious pact with yourself not to be in that exact situation again, or not to allow something to develop, not to allow a particular person to have that kind of influence on your life if they're going to be disruptive. So take this card today, number 9, as that little heads up to have a look at what this situation is that you've avoided, okay, from whatever you've done. It's impossible for me to tell with a simple one card reading here exactly sort of more details about that situation. But you have a look, you identify that, and then just, make those mental boundaries, form those boundaries that will stop you going down that path again. Okay, so in all, it's a positive card when you see it like this. And even when we see cards and then they are in a negative aspect, there is always a lesson to be learned from that. And it's always forewarned, is forearmed. And we do have to navigate through some very difficult times in life. So the tarot can be used to identify those areas. And also then obviously with a bigger reading than one card, you can then sort of look deeper into a particular situation and use the cards to give you some guidance and some insight into how you should navigate the troubled waters. Number four, you have the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune, and that is upright. So the Wheel of Fortune, when you have this card, so when this is in your influence, it can sometimes feel that whatever you do, the outcome is going to remain the same. So it's like the Wheel of Fortune is spinning, and it feels almost like, you're on that treadmill, and this is positive, mind you, because this is the right way up. So it's like you're on that treadmill and whatever's coming is coming. It's like, okay, well, so be it. Or if it's meant to be, it will be. What is the other one? It is what it is. I hate that saying, but it is what it is. It's like you have already set the wheels in motion for the events that are playing out around you today. And so it's almost like you can just sit back and watch. You can sit back and watch the wheels turn and see what is coming for you. Now, because you don't have to put much energy into the situation in order to achieve that positive outcome, it's a good idea sometimes to actually metaphorically sit back and look at what's going on around you and think, is there a little bit of tweaking that I can do to other areas of my life, because this particular situation is playing out itself. So is there space in my head to be dealing with and to sort of, to be tweaking up, powering up on another area of life? So it feels as well that you get that sort of things are taking over sort of feeling. So, things are moving forward without you having to push, because there's some situations that you have to, especially legal things, I find, where you really have to be like constantly on at people, or on at people to do something, or on people's backs, like, has this been done, has that been done? If you've been involved in that sort of situation lately, then expect that energy to really loosen up today. It's like you have oiled the ball bearings in the wheel. All right, it's like smoothly flowing now. It's also a card that can be associated with luck. So if today you were thinking, should I do the lottery later? The answer would be probably yes. Number five, great, you've got the Death card. This is brilliant. We've had the Tower and Death. Number 5, do not worry. This does not mean that you're going to drop dead, not unless you'd planned to do so, of course. Basically, the death in the spiritual world, there is no death. Okay, its energy does not disappear, doesn't dissipate, it changes into something else. So when people see the Death card in tarot and think, oh my goodness, physical death, it's just not the case, because the tarot is esoterical. It's not talking, major arcana particularly, it's not talking about something as minor as a physical death. No, it's about big changes and big transformations. And it's a card which talks about the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. If you imagine a bushfire, okay, can be very destructive, but there are certain species of trees, I believe, that absolutely have to have that seasonal bushfire in order to renew, in order to, I think maybe they cast their seeds or something like that. If you know, please put me right. But they have to have these fires in order for them to continue. So that's the energy of this card for you today. It's like you're having to burn out the dead wood. You're having to identify those things that no longer serve you and put an end to them and remove them from your life in order to start afresh, in order to start new things, to grow new green shoots, which will grow into the trees of the future. So it's a really beautiful card to have because it's such a cathartic sweeping through all the old ways, the old energies